Okay.
Most men want to be the hero of their own story.
Yeah.
Now, I did some work in a juvenile detention facility years ago, and I tried to get this point across. I said, so I started asking the young men. I said, do you like the Joker more or do you like Batman more? And they almost always said they like the Joker more.
Yeah.
But something's been lost on the youth of today, where
If
they
they
are
if they if they admire the Joker more
if
than
they
they
admire the
admire
Joker more, then
Batman.
there's something wrong.
Mm,
There's got to be men out there who have the hero complex. They go, no, I'm not going to victimize people. I am going to save people from victimization. And if you,
yeah.
hello and welcome to the Brothers Random Show. My name is Travis,
I'm Michael.
and we are two ordinary brothers discussing extraordinary ideas and some random shit. Michael, why are we here?
Today, ladies and gentlemen, which is scarier, a bear in the woods or a man in the woods? Let's get into it. This is a TikTok trend, right? That's been TikTok online. Everybody's discussing this. It's like women saying, and you can watch the videos, men ask or people asking women on the streets, if you were walking in the woods, would you rather come across a bear or a man?
Bear. Man is scary.
With a bear.
Depends what man, but probably a bear.
100% a bear, which is like terrifying to say, but
definitely a bear. Some men are very scary out there.
a bear.
And most of them are saying a bear. And we're men. We never would commit a crime against a woman, right?
Like, yeah.
And so we're sitting here. We're just like, whoa. Wait a minute.
It's kind of a stupid trend. Out of the trends that we've had lately, it's one of the stupider ones. But and it's on the sexist side. So here's the thing. Just recently looked up. There are on average about 400,000 every year sexual assaults that happen. And most of those are perpetrated towards women.
By men.
Now, we cannot deny those numbers. Okay. That's a really high number on average. However, another good statistic to point out is, what is it, Michael?
1% of crimes,
violent
crimes. So 1% of the population is responsible for 63% of the crime.
Okay, so that's a low percentage for how many.
Let me give the source. That is from the National Library of Medicine, a study done in 2013. So it could be a little different, right? Those numbers might be a little different now, right? But that's a study that they did in 2013. 1% of the population is accountable for 20 or 63% of all of violent crimes convicted. So,
well, and so I had this discussion with my oldest child, and she's a young adult, and my wife, and it got pretty heated. So my point is that not every man you encounter will be an evil man. Their point was the possibility of him being an evil man is more risky than just encountering a bear. So,
and to be fair, I mean, bear attacks aren't that common. We should look that up, but bear attacks aren't actually that common. Most of the time you can yell at them and they just run away.
They run away.
Right? Like that's
I've
more
seen
common
bears
than them attacking you.
I almost hit a bear with my car once. I mean, there's the area that we live in, we see quite a bit of bears. But the thing is that most of the time they're scared. And if I'm not mistaken, they usually, unless you come upon them when they're eating or with their cubs, you're usually fine because they don't want anything to do with you. They're not looking to eat you. And there's, so, it is a strange thing that we're into right now. It's almost feeding into this fear-based fear mongering. It feels disingenuous. It feels like the more of the I'm going to blame you for my feelings scenario, right? So it feels like, okay, so most women are scared. This is something my daughter said. She's more scared of being raped than dying. And I would say a lot of women feel that way, right? More women are probably scared of being sexually assaulted than dying. Now, I don't have the fear of being sexually assaulted at all. If I was in prison, I would probably have that fear, but I'm not. And so for the most part, it doesn't cross my mind.
Well,
If
and
I see a dude on a dark alley, I'm probably not going to encounter him, but I'm not going to be as scared of getting sexually assaulted by him.
right.
So,
And
whereas a
we
woman,
have to be fair that we live as men, we live it's a different world for us. We can go out at night and walk
yes,
around at night, and it's
and
not a
probably
huge
nothing's
deal,
going to
right?
happen. Yeah.
And that's to be fair, right? Women have to be more, they have to be more
Cautious.
careful,
Yeah.
cautious, and be aware of their surroundings, make sure that they get home safe. Like, and this, I mean, let's be honest, this is why there was chivalry, right?
There was a chivalry code at some point. There was, you protect women and you protect children. And, society is more or less lost this code. And as I don't want to blame anybody, but there is something to be left at the foot of fourth wave feminism. So if fourth wave feminism is basically the idea that women no longer need to be equal to men, they need to be superior to men. And I'm not saying that is right. I don't think it is, because I don't think anybody should be superior to anybody else. But the whole idea is that if we're running down this lane, then one of the ways to make women more superior to men would be to tell all men that I'd rather meet a bear in the woods than meet you in the woods. It's like, it's very, there's, you can see both sides, right? I can see both sides because my daughter is very concerned about that element of life. And I don't think any women in the world or in history weren't concerned with that, right? There's always the possibility of that happening. However, it's, only 1% of the men. So how many men you're more likely to go through your entire day meeting only good men who don't do that than you are ever to meet a man who would even think about doing that. So there's two sides to the statistics, right? At one point, at some point, there's a bunch of rapes that happen in this country, and there's a load of men who don't commit those, right? So there's two things there. There's two I guess lumping the men in with, so the men with the good men with the bad men is always going to be a challenge, because if you're
and to be fair to women, they don't know, right?
Yeah. So they're being cautious, I guess, is the best way to put it. So
a couple out of 100, and before this we watched a video where a gal was saying, she was saying that you are way more likely to just meet a good man that would do nothing to you, Just
or it would actually help you in the woods,
or that would help you.
Yeah.
Like the statistics are there to show that you are way more likely to come across somebody that, and she made the mention of a welder that likes to hike in his off time.
In his off time.
It's just
a welder that likes to, it's just some dude.
Some dude, like a mechanic that wants to just
and if you
burn
were in
some steam
distress
out in the hills.
If you were in distress, he would be like, "Oh, hey," he would like, "Hey, can I help you?" And he's probably got like a family at home, or maybe his family's with him. Like the likelihood of him just being this creepoid in the middle of the forest is so low. It's so low.
Well, and this is probably goes to another one of those things where we live in soft times where everything is just kind of given. Like these women probably haven't spent that much time out in the woods that much time,
and so maybe
like,
they're
ask the same woman, a pioneer woman that's like that's just got out to the west, and building a cabin or whatever. I mean, she would definitely have a different story than
the current day average woman,
right? And I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm just saying that it's gotten to the point where women have thought that an animal attacking them is way less likely. Like the society has come to a point where an animal attacking you just seems so less likely than a man attacking you.
Yeah,
right?
It's gotten to that.
And I bet most of these women were in the like big cities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They've probably never seen a bear.
You've probably never even seen a bear. So their first approach would be, oh, hey, the bear is definitely something that I'd rather see in the woods than a man. And the truth is that a bear is, like I said, it's more likely a bear is just going to leave you alone unless you startled it, unless you came across it eating something or with its cubs, and then it's more likely to attack you. But I don't know. It's such a disingenuous. You would. One of the things that I said to my daughter is I said, so you're more likely to be sexually assaulted, but I'm more likely to be falsely accused of sexually assaulting someone. That is because that is a thing too. So it's like,
I think where you're getting at is the tit for tat of men and women.
Yeah.
Where okay, yeah, women fear men more than they do wild animals, and then men are gonna fear, and maybe we're just pointing fingers like, well, we fear you accusing us of sexual assault, and we'd rather meet a lion in an office, than
break room.
A woman by herself in an office. That once again, I don't think that's very
equivalent.
That's still not fair. I would definitely rather meet a woman in an office than a lion out in the desert. I don't know what would be the change
equivalent scenario. I don't know. It's almost like it's almost like a non-winning scenario, because you're playing off of fear, I would say. So this question plays off people's fears. So women fear a sexual assault, right? They're going to fear a sexual assault. But women who have been sexually assaulted, they're still alive. Yeah, they might have trauma from that, but they've still lived a full life afterwards. So it's not like, I guess the question would be, would you rather die in the woods or be sexually assaulted in the woods?
Well, I mean, plenty of men who
of,
sexual assault will kill their victims. I mean, it's just so there's that part of it too. But I don't know. I watched some documentaries of like this was forever ago of people getting mauled by bears. And one guy had his skull crushed.
Mm-hmm.
Like his skull was crushed. So he was blind afterwards. They tried to fix it up and stuff, but he took his sunglasses off and you could see how where the crushed his face was by the bear.
Well, they go for the head. They always go for the head.
And then watch The Revenant.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That'll scare the shit out of you.
That'll make you rethink the bear scenario. But again, I think it's more of a, are you more scared of being sexually assaulted than you are of dying? Essentially.
I mean, that could be part of it. It could also just be part of, societally, women just aren't in a place where they fear bear attacks. But I would say just wild attacks from wild beasts, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just not an issue.
Well, it's like
the issue is attacks from their species, men. So rape or sexual assault is only 24% by strangers.
Done by strangers.
Are only committed by strangers, 24%. So 70, whatever that would be, 76% would be by someone right? So the idea, so those are two stats we've gone over. 1% of the population commits 63% of the crime,
of violent crime. Yeah.
A violent crime. And only 24% of rape or sexual assaults are done by a stranger.
Yeah.
So you walking in the woods, seeing a stranger, I don't even know what that would be. 1%, like the fact that he would have to be one of the 1%.
Yes.
And like the fact that it's a stranger, right?
Yeah. But it goes back to the fear. It goes back to the fear of what is worse.
Yeah.
What is worse, dying or being sexually assaulted? And I think most women would say sexually assaulted is probably worse. But those are women, maybe those are women who haven't been. I don't know. It's actually kind of a sad subject because it tends to paint most men as violent perpetrators, where on the average, most men aren't.
Yeah.
I mean, it isn't any wonder that, and if stuff has gone up, if sexual assault has gone up in our country, it's probably because of weak men. Because most strong, good men are never going to do something like that. They just know it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
There were, in Viking times, raping and pillaging was kind of a common thing. And so women have always been the victims of men. It's basically by choice that we say, I am not going to do that. I'm not going to be that kind of a monster. I can see both sides, though. I can see where we shouldn't assume that every man is going to be an assaulter. And I can also see it both ways where you are so vulnerable through this world as a woman that the statistics go up, maybe not in the woods, maybe you're more likely to meet an assailant in the city. But
there's a piece of me that thinks that this could be just another way to kick the man down.
Mm.
I'm because we've watched a lot of videos from conservative women that are saying, ladies, you're idiots. This is the percentage, blah, 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 that you would come across a man that would actually do you harm is very low. And meeting a bear would be worse. But there's also the argument. I mean, the guy kind of broke down some numbers and the fact that just bear attacks are so low that
you're more
be
likely
more likely the thing would just run away, kind of thing.
Well, and you're 2 times more likely to have a sexual assault than have a bear attack. That
is what
was,
it came.
Yeah, what
came
it came
to.
up to,
Yeah.
when you adjust for population.
Right.
So you're 2 times more likely to have that. This is this is just fear mongering, and what we've lost is the hero complex. So
men have lost their
the
hero complex.
Their hero complex. So what
okay.
most men want to be the hero of their own story.
Yeah.
Now I did some work in a juvenile detention facility years ago. And I tried to get this point across. I started asking the young men. I said, "Do you like the Joker more or do you like Batman more?" And they almost always said they liked the Joker more.
Yeah.
Very rarely did they say they liked Batman more. Now, I love Batman.
Yeah.
I think that he's the greatest comic book character of all time, but something's been lost on the youth of today, where
if they admire the Joker more
if
than
they
they
admire the Joker more,
Batman,
then there's something wrong. And of course, these were criminal kids.
Yeah.
But they did admire the Joker more. But at some point, there's got to be men out there who have the hero complex. They go, "No, I'm not going to victimize people. I am going to save people from victimization." And if you're going through your life doing that, if you're thinking that way, and going, "I would want to be the hero. I want to be the hero of my own story. I want to be the hero of my children's story. I want to be the hero of my wife's story. I want to be the hero." And if that is a mentality that they have, if they have posters up of Batman on their wall instead of the Joker on their wall, or Scarface, that was a big one when I was in college. Almost every single college dorm room had a Scarface poster up. What are you admiring about that character? It goes back to Jordan Peterson's people mistake confidence for psychopathy, or psychopathy for confidence. So a lot of the time when people see a confident man,
Scarface, he's super confident.
He's super confident.
I wish I could be like that. Oh, he's super confident.
He's the king of the world. He's going to get to that the pinnacle of he's going to get all the women and all the money and all that. But it also creates a psychopath.
Yeah.
He's killing people. He's chopping people up.
Yeah. And maybe women see that more than they see the good. And so that would obviously leave them to fear meeting a man in the woods rather than a bear. Right? Because and this might be just a cultural thing, right? Chivalry's dead. Men love the Joker more than they do Batman, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of we've built up this storm. I also think it is kind of a kick down, like it's the patriarchy, and we hate the patriarchy, so kick down on men. Like, let men know that they're so bad. They're so bad that we would rather be with a bear than with them, right? Like, it's all of these things, and I mean, men, we should take some responsibility for some of that, right? Like you said, the 400,000 a year.
Yeah,
Is
it's 400,000 sexual assaults are reported in a year in the United States, which is a lot. That is a lot.
Yeah.
But
So I mean,
but
we have to bear some responsibility there.
well, but we cannot, as good men, bear the responsibility of bad men. That's like
that's
asking
true.
that's like asking saying we recently talked about OnlyFans. That's like saying all women are OnlyFans
Yeah.
prostitutes.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
say that, because there are good women out there who are not going to sell their body and their soul for a little bit of cash.
Yeah.
It's like we can't put all of them in that category, because there's 2% of young women in this country
That are
on
OnlyFans. Yeah. And about 1 or 2% of men or of violent crime of the population is doing 63% of the crime. So
so we as good men we're not obligated to take on the sins of all the bad men. That's not our obligation. And the fact that a question like that makes us do that. A question like would you rather meet a man in the woods or a bear in the woods, makes you go, no, I'm a good man. And maybe we should assume that most men are good instead of assume that most men are bad. Now, again, assumptions, once assault has happened, those assumptions are gone, right? So you can't, so in the state of being cautious, maybe you wouldn't want to meet a man in the woods, then you would prefer to meet a bear in the spirit of caution.
Mm-hmm.
It's an unfortunate question, I think, and it's unfair. It really is unfair, because, and one of the things my wife said is, like, any woman would change the question and go, well, do I know the man? If I know the man, I would prefer the man. If I don't know the man, I'm going with the bear. That's what my wife posited.
But statistically, if someone was going to sexually assault you, it'd be someone
you know. Wow.
So that logic doesn't work, right?
Well,
I see the
but most of the
point.
men, all the men she knows are all good men.
Ding ding, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
the statistic is that she would be by somebody she knows, but also the statistic doesn't play into the fact that maybe she's surrounded herself with good men.
Yeah. It's rough. Yeah, that's kind of it's kind of rough to think we've gotten to this point. That's whatever the if and I don't know if they've done a study, if they've actually, taken a poll or something like that. Mm-hmm. My guess is that the if they did take a poll, the stats in California would be much different than, in Wyoming or it is there's probably a lot of, or Texas. Yeah. Like probably a lot of, cultural,
makes you
right
wonder.
Versus left.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There probably is. I don't know. I mean, that'd be an interesting thing, is like, does the right,
it's a weak man. It's a weak man who seeks dominance over women.
Yeah. Yeah, but it kind of makes me wonder, like, how many women actually do think this way, who actually do think that they would rather meet a bear in the woods than a man. It's yeah.
Well, and it yeah, it plays into like what state they live in and how, how many bad encounters with men have they had. And I mean, your percentages go up when you're living in a city, probably in a large city.
That would be
I
my
would imagine.
guess.
That
I
would be
could
my
be
guess.
wrong, but that would be my guess.
Yeah.
Is that because your experience, and they're going to go off of their experience, right? They've
Well,
had more men make them feel uneasy than they have had bears,
make them feel
uneasy.
uneasy. Yeah.
I
And there's always the
personally, I
creep
think
factor. There's always the creep factor. Women always get creeped out by dudes. There's always a
I
dude like Googling it, like oogling them. And
dude, I'll tell you, like, and I'm obviously I'm a man, so I don't like being scared in an alleyway
yeah,
of being sexually assaulted is not really. But I was in Alaska in the woods at night, and my flashlight came across some eyes that were looking at me. Could have been a deer, could have been a bear. We had seen bears. There's
but
tons of bears on this
in that
island.
moment, your heart started
In
pumping
that
really
moment,
fast.
I was freaked. I just about shit my pants. I was so scared. Like, so
There's that.
There's that. I didn't shit my pants, but
But
let's
if you had
just
seen
be
a
honest.
dude, you would have been way more happy about it.
Yeah. Probably because I worked with them.
Yeah, probably because you
But-
were working with them.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a tough. I don't think we solved anything, but it is an interesting discussion. It's an interesting thought process. It kind of makes me sad for the state of the battle of the sexes, because I mean, we often talk about this subject.
yeah,
It doesn't do well for women to have this in their heads, where every man they encounter could be a possible sexual assault. It's like that's
yeah.
bad. And men, we need to either figure out how to shape up, or this is only getting worse. Like this, I don't. It would be so interesting to go back in time, like when there's people who say the chivalry code was never actually upheld, but
Yeah.
the whole idea is that maybe it was an ideal to try to uphold. And if you were living during that time, would women have been less scared of men, or because they would know that men were trying to meet this ideal? Maybe nowadays morality is so down
in the gutter.
Maybe that's why women are so scared of men, because morality has taken a dive in our society.
Mm-hmm.
Being good to your fellow man, being good, protecting and teaching women and children, like that, those are ideals that should be universal, but they're not. Food for thought, I guess. Any final thoughts on that?
I would say we need to be like we need to be more careful about how we're punching at each other and why. The sexes punching at each other, because I feel like this was kind of it's
kind of a gotcha question. Like, I gotcha.
Yeah. Let me get the man where let me stick that knife in him. And I mean, and the thing is I mean, we just watched a video before starting this where a guy was saying how he'd rather meet a bear in the woods than a woman in human resources. Right? So he punches.
Yeah, he gets
I'm
a
gonna
punch
punch
in.
you back. right? And
Like,
we
I don't-
laughed. We thought it was funny.
I thought it was
right?
a funny take, but
I thought
it's
it
the
was
truth
funny,
is that
but
I don't
he
think
was
this does
punching
anybody.
back.
Yeah, it doesn't
Right?
do any good, right? It's not doing any good.
Yeah, so that would be my thing, is just like, yeah, we just tit for tat, tat for tit, eye for an eye until everybody's blind. I don't think that helps anybody. So
Yeah. Well, on that note, guess we'll call it. Hey, audience, check us out on social media, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just look for The Sword in the Skull. If you're listening to this and not watching it, please go to YouTube, subscribe, like, share it with your family, friends. And in the meantime, keep reading, keep listening, keep watching, learn more. We'll see you, brother.
see ya.